They say the mountains don't give a damn about who you are. Out here, your name, your bank account, none of it means squat. It's just you, the trees, and the long, honest hush that either clears your head or scrapes it hollow. That's why I bought this place in the first place. I craved silence, real solitude, the kind you can't buy in the city, the kind that lets you hear your own thoughts without anyone else's junk bleeding in. So when I spotted a listing for a hand-built cabin deep in the North Carolina Appalachians, 3 miles off the main road, and not a sniff of HOA anywhere, I wired the money before I even finished my coffee. Maybe it sounds impulsive, but you ever want something so bad you just know? Yeah, that was me. The old owner, Willard, wild beard, boots older than my last 3 cars, handshake like a lumberjack, passed me a fat folder of paperwork, some hand-drawn maps, a few permits, and a note scrawled in pencil. You're free here. Don't let anyone tell you different. I like that. Willard had carved out his own sanctuary long before the yuppies moved in down the ridge, and now it was mine, all nice and legal, title clear. I double-checked with the county, even hired a lawyer to triple-check. Nobody, not even the Woodpines development that popped up later, had any say over this dirt but me. First couple weeks, life was simple and damn near perfect. I trimmed brush, climbed up to bolt solar panels onto the roof, hauled in a well crew who found water with barely a shrug. Metal roof, new chimney, the kind of work that hurts your back but fixes your brain. My phone spent more time dead than alive. That was by design. Out here, civilization's a choice, not a leashed SO. When I heard 2 sharp knocks on my tailgate that August morning, it felt like getting sucker punched by a ghost. There she was, mid-50s, bob haircut stiff enough to stop a bullet, sunglasses like satellite dishes, and a fluorescent vest that looked like it belonged at a middle school carpool lane. Joanne Mason, president, Woodpines HOA. Her badge screamed, but her smile said, "You're already guilty." She starts off with some bureaucratic babble, violations, non-compliant energy equipment, and unapproved landscape alterations. I just stared at her, sweat running down my face, sawdust on my hands, and told her she had the wrong address. No HOA here. Never has been, never will be. Check your maps. She just smiled tight, nodded, and walked away, back to her Subaru, parked right across the gravel like it was a police cruiser. You know what I mean, right? Every town's got at least one HOA Karen, policing mailbox fonts and measuring grass with a ruler. I figured she'd go home and find someone else to harass. Instead, 2 days later, I get an email. Subject, notice of violation. Immediate attention required. $50,000 in fines. You read that right. $50,000 for visual aesthetic disruption, unauthorized modifications, even non-compliant energy structures. I laughed so hard my ribs hurt, until I realized these people actually believe their own hype. Still, I wasn't worried. I called the county. Clerk tells me I'm not only outside Woodpines, but by half a football field. I fire off a response to the HOA, attach my deed, maps, a notarized county letter, the whole 9 yards. CC their legal counsel, because why not? I even closed with warm regards, just to rub it in. 2 days later, a reply, escalation. Same threats, but now with property seizure and lien placement in bold red type. Joanne had cranked the crazy to 11. Then, the letters started showing up in my mailbox. Handwritten, some without stamps, always from concerned residents. You're making the ridge an eyesore. Please respect our community. Yeah, sure. Soon after, county clerk calls again. Anonymous complaints coming in, noise, environmental runoff. Which is wild, since the only runoff I had was melted snow and maybe some spilled bourbon. That's when things went from ridiculous to dangerous. I found a dead squirrel on my porch, poison residue near its mouth, and prograde snap traps tucked behind my shed. I installed cameras everywhere, motion activated, night vision, the works. Out here, paranoia is just good sense. A week later, my internet cut out. Technician found the cable 2 feet underground, sliced clean. Not a raccoon, not a storm. Sabotage. Right about then, a new guy moved in down the hill, Nate. Flannel, Patagonia vest, big grin. We drank beer, stacked lumber, swapped stories. He seemed alright, except he always had the perfect theory for every weird thing. Probably just raccoons, might be bored kids, old wiring. You know how it is. At first, I chalked it up to neighborly curiosity. But he started asking for copies of my deed, specifics on my well depth, real pointed stuff. Made my skin crawl. One morning, I found posters nailed to trees by the road. Stop the bunker, protect the ridge. They had photos of my cabin taken from somewhere deep on my land. When I asked Nate if he'd seen them, he just laughed. Eco HOA types. Man, they'll protest a squirrel fart. But I saw my own security footage. Someone in a Patagonia vest sneaking around the solar panels, just standing there, watching. Not long after, I climbed up to check the panels and found neat pencil-sized holes drilled through the glass. 4 panels in a line, 20 grand's worth of damage, done quietly and with real intent. Then my well pump died. Turns out someone dumped quickset cement down the shaft. The repair guy just shook his head and muttered, "Somebody's got it out for you." That night, Nate was gone. Place cleaned out. No sign he'd ever lived there. Next morning, laminated flyers popped up on my trees. GPS coordinates, drone shots, a QR code to a website full of doctored photos, fake legalese, and environmental hazard accusations about my place. There was even a video, sad music, when does progress become poison? Type nonsense. Then came the snap traps. This time, baited with rodenticide. Dead animals by my compost, signs of someone creeping around at night. I drove to town to clear my head and saw Joanne running a community protection meeting in the Walmart parking lot. Projector, speakers, and a slideshow of my cabin photos with "Threat to our ridge" stamped in red. People laughing, eating popcorn, sharing QR codes. Me, the villain of a story I never wanted to star in. That was my breaking point. I called my old friend Bennett, a real estate lawyer who hated HOAs more than I did. He hooked me up with Julia Stafford, Asheville attorney and certified bulldog. Julia tore through my files, said most of what the HOA was doing was bluff, except the sabotage, which was criminal. She fired off cease and desist letters, filed police reports, and, with my blessing, prepped a lawsuit naming not just the HOA but Joanne and her goons personally that I decided to go public. Uploaded a TikTok of my drilled solar panels. They call this an eyesore. I call it energy independence. Showed the cemented well. Video went viral. Suddenly, I wasn't alone. Letters of support poured in, donations, even cheesecake from some guy in Iowa. Then, out of nowhere, I get a text. "We should talk." I'm on the board. They're hiding more than you know. Finally, a crack in their wall. We held our own town hall, streamed it live. Julia led with the evidence. Jurisdiction maps, security footage, the HOA's own emails. Leaked by Marcus Hale, a former board member who'd had enough. Push for lien even if unenforceable. Harass until he sells or snaps. Joanne's own words. "I'd rather burn the forest than let this bunker stand." The room went silent. Just shock and the scratching of pens. News broke like wildfire. HOA finds wrong man, tries to break him. The trial was quick. Jury, judge, the works. Julia buried them with evidence. Doctored maps, sabotage receipts, even digital forensics showing deleted security footage and HOA debit card charges for poison. County assessor swore under oath that the HOA had never, not once, had any legal power over my land. When the judge came back, he didn't even sit down before ruling in my favor. $2.3 million in damages, personal fines for Joanne and her cronies, outside trustee appointed to tear the HOA apart. After that, things got quiet again. Not scared quiet, the good kind, where birdsong drifts through open windows and you can taste your coffee instead of adrenaline. My cabin's still standing, only now it's got alarms, better panels, and a sign at the drive. Not HOA property. Not interested. Turn around, Karen. Deliveries always honk. The deer even come back now. Sometimes I wonder what happened to Joanne, to Nate, to everyone who thought they could bully someone off their own patch of earth. Thing is, I'm not the only one fighting this fight. Started a nonprofit, protect private land rights, helping folks stand up to bullies in polyester. Started a podcast, too. If it's your land, plant your damn flag. The Woodpines HOA imploded. Audit found years of fraud and abuse. Joanne vanished. Tom Davis moved to Ohio. People got justice, or at least a little peace. So, here's my question for you. Where's the line? When does community become control? When does order become a weapon? Tell me what you think. Hit the comments, tell your story. Because out here, freedom is worth the fight, no matter who tries to take it.